How are you?
It's nice to meet you over
Nice to
Skype.
meet you.
You're so cute.
Thank you.
So, how are you today? Are
I'm
you ready for the interview?
I'm good, thank you. How are you today?
Not too bad. The weather is a bit average, but what are you gonna
Thank
do?
you for taking the time out of your busy schedule
No,
to.
it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. I know what it's like because sometimes I interview people, and I know it's not easy to get people to get time out of their schedule. So I understand fully.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and you can call me Isabelle, by the way. Otherwise,
Oh.
I feel too old.
You're not, you don't look old.
Sometimes I feel old. So, how do you want to do this, Malika? First of all, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you perfect.
Okay, good.
I was just wondering, like I said in my email, is it okay if I record you for the
Yes,
sake?
it's fine.
And it's okay, you don't need to get like permission of any other.
No, I'm my own boss. So I can give myself permission to say all sorts of crazy things.
Yeah, but I think that's what I would like to do. So if it's okay with you, then I can switch on the recording now for the okay.
That's fine.
Yeah. Let me just okay. I think that's okay. So good evening. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. And you, Malika?
I'm good, thank you. So like I shared with you, I'm running a campaign to empower, inspire, and encourage girls in science that I call Energize. And this campaign aims to motivate middle and high school girls to pursue STEM in college because I believe that's something that forms the foundation for a career in every field that's out there, and it gives them a wider opportunity to choose careers later on after they study science or science-related courses in college or university. So I would just like to ask you a few questions about your journey and how you pursued science and how you are where you are today. So one of the questions I would like to ask you is if you could share some of your experiences as a highly successful woman and a little about yourself and your current role and responsibilities.
Okay. Well, to start with, I'm an industrial engineer. I studied engineering in Canada, and after that I did an MBA in finance.
Mm-hmm.
And from there on, I started working in telecom, in international telecom. So I've been in the international telecom business for 22 years now. And for the past 13 years, first of all, I've been the founder of this international telecom consulting and market research firm called Hot Telecom. So for the past 13 years, I've led this business with great success, I think, and we work with a number of international operators around the world. They're helping them with their strategy, their evolution, their transformation towards what will become the digital era. So everything to do with how they need to transform themselves. So we're working with operators all around the world, so this is very exciting and very challenging at the same time. So this is my journey so far.
You mentioned that you have a bachelor's degree in engineering. What made you pursue sciences and decide to do engineering in university? Like, what made you pursue science in high school and then go on to pursue it later in further education?
Yes. Well, in Canada, we have high school and then we have what we call college for 2 years, where we kind of start to decide what we want to do further down in life. Around 7, at that time we're about 16, 17, and 18. So I studied both business and science in college because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And even at the end of that, I wasn't sure either. So if I wanted to go in business or in engineering. So my two brothers were engineers. So I had a chat with them and I said, I don't know what to do. What should I do? And they said, don't even ask yourself what to do. Go in engineering because it will, as you said earlier, enable you to do everything after. If after your 4 years of engineering you don't want to be an engineer, it's not for you. You can still be in business, but you'll have a very strong basis for everything else you want to do. You can even become a lawyer if you want. Nothing stopping you from doing that. So I thought actually, but once my brothers gave me good advice, and I did that. I chose to do that, and it was the best decision of my life. I had a great time in my engineering degree, and they were right. It was the basis for the rest of my career, and it gave me all the tools and the capabilities and the knowledge I needed to do anything that I wanted after. So it was a very good decision that I did that.
Also, what inspired you to study this at that time when there weren't a lot of, I'm not sure, there weren't a lot of women who wanted to
Mm,
take up science? Because
mm.
from what I have seen is that it's not that many women as compared to men who study science. So what made you make that decision?
Well, because I like school um, anyway. I like school and I like to challenge myself. And I never even thought about it. I like science. It was something I like to study. I thought it was like challenging for my mind, and it just fitted in the way in who I was. So I didn't even ask myself, "Oh, should I go in there? There'll be too many men." Maybe the fact that I was raised with two brothers kind of prepared me for that. It was never something I was thinking about. Should I go into a woman's field or a men's? I didn't see that in that way. So I didn't even question that. Yes, it's true there wasn't that many women in engineering school, but maybe in Canada it's maybe more evolved than in other
Hmm.
countries. It was not such a big subject, but it was still. But we never thought about it. And maybe this the specialty I chose, which is industrial engineer. In engineering, there are maybe a bit more women in that field, so maybe that was maybe less obvious to me. There were women in my class and women like myself, so it wasn't such a big subject for me. That, but yes, I realize that it is a subject that is still an issue or something that needs to be improved, but it's improving, I think, slowly.
Hmm. And in your career or in your journey of pursuing STEM, like in university or in high school, what was your most enjoyable moment of
Mm.
choosing industrial engineering?
I think it's twofold. One is, as I said before, the challenge. So I like to challenge myself to push my limits. So it definitely does that. Anyone that goes into engineering has to be ready to work really hard and to work as harder than you will ever work again in your life, which is a good thing because if you can achieve that and be successful in engineering school, believe me, you'll be able to be successful in any career that you want to choose after. So the fact that you can push yourself. Sometimes you think I'll never be able to do it, but you keep going, you keep pushing yourself, and you succeed. And it's a very big, it's very enjoyable to realize that you can achieve almost everything that you put your mind to. So that's very enjoyable. The other enjoyable part is the social part of it. I've met some great people, very bright, dynamic, fun people in engineering school that became my friends for life. I see them still now, and we still stay in contact. They're all very successful business people. A lot of them have their own companies, so they all went on to be very successful. So we had a great time together. We worked hard together. Also, it also prepared me in terms of business, where I had to again learn how to work with men, work in
Hmm.
team because there's a lot of teamwork in engineering, and so you learn to deal with men. So the men-woman dynamic, you kind of practice it through school. It's kind of part of
Hmm.
your studies. You learn to deal with that.
Yeah.
There's tension sometimes, but you learn to deal with that, and that prepared me greatly for the rest of my business life in telecom, as it's a almost completely men's world. So
Hmm.
again, it is that facet I enjoyed a lot. I mean, we had a lot of fun. We partied hard, but that's also part of learning about life. You have to be able to party because in
Hmm.
business you have to handle yourself as well. So all these different facets for me was very important for the success in the rest of my career.
Hmm. So, like you said, you face many challenges, and you mentioned the men and women dynamic as well.
Uh-huh.
So, later on, in when you started going from industrial engineering to business, were there any challenges you faced as a woman at that time, and how
Mm.
did you overcome those challenges?
Well, in fairness, I never spent much time thinking about that. I think I met many challenges as an entrepreneur in
Hmm.
general. I never start. I rarely think, oh, I have this difficulty because I'm a woman.
Hmm.
Maybe it happens, but I don't spend any time of my life thinking, oh, I'm persecuted as a woman in business, and
Yeah.
this is not what I'm like. I'm too busy pushing forward, trying to do things. If something doesn't work, okay, fine, I'll do something else. So I keep pushing, and I don't waste any time on that subject. Maybe the fact, as I said before, I was raised with two boys, and also in my engineering school, it's kind of the men are part of my world, and I don't realize, when I go somewhere, I don't think, oh, I'm the only woman in the room. I don't even think about that. So I'm just someone with other businesswoman with other business people. So yes, I see more the challenges in terms of being an entrepreneur. But we have to be realistic. It's true that it's not easy being a woman. And maybe in Canada, we are lucky. Maybe I came from, I was lucky maybe where I was in an environment that it wasn't so difficult compared to other countries. In Canada, we have, it's a very big subject. We're trying to promote women in business. So maybe I had that luck as well. But, I've worked in many, many countries around the world, and I can tell you it's not the case everywhere. So I've been in other countries, in other culture where women are, it's a constant struggle to be taken seriously, to even have a time, face-to-face time with men to do business. And in those cases, sometimes you can't fight it. The fight is too big. So you just say, okay, fine. I understand maybe that's not the best time for me to be talking to these people. Move on to something else. Talk to people who actually want to talk to you. Mm-hmm. But in another way, being a woman in the men's world, in the telecom business, is a men's world completely, has these advantages because you're different to everyone else. You maybe, sometimes I'm on panels and conferences, I'm the only woman on the stage. And I'm very comfortable with being a woman. I don't try to look like a man. I don't try to talk like a man. I am myself. Mm-hmm. And if you're a strong woman, if you're confident, and if you're competent, that will be an advantage because people will notice you more than they notice all the other men on stage. Mm-hmm. So you can also capitalize on that. You can turn it around and use that being a woman as an advantage. And I think it's been helpful for me in terms of being remembered, in terms of being recognized. But also, it's not always about being different. You have to have, the capabilities to support that. You have to prove that you can deliver. So that's also very important. But so it's not all bad. If you're happy to be a woman and you can, be positive, I think positivity is very important too.
So did you face any trade-offs when rising to your current position, and how did you maintain a work-life sort of balance outside your work?
So I can only talk to you about that from my point of view. And I maybe have a very different point of view to many women. I'm not sure, as an entrepreneur, again, I'm going to talk to you as an entrepreneur, maybe it's different to someone working in a big company. It's almost, it's very difficult to have a work-life balance as a man, as a woman, as an entrepreneur. So women that say that it's easy, I don't think they're very truthful or they're very lucky. I guess if you're making a lot of money, you have a lot of means to maybe enable that work-life balance, that's easier. But in reality, as an entrepreneur, you put your whole life into your company, into your work, and you have to be really ready to make sacrifices. So, but if you enjoy what you do and if you work with people you enjoy and that's what you want to do, that's kind of a work-life balance. Happiness comes from work or comes from home. So every people, I think, are different. And at the moment, I'm in my business. It's growing rapidly, so I have to put all my time in my business. So obviously, some of the things will have to go. But obviously, hopefully, it won't last forever. I can't last like that forever. But I'm having a lot of fun. But if you talk to another woman, maybe at a different point in their life, that will be a different answer. But I think you have to be realistic. If you want to be a high-level position, you can't have everything in life. So you have to choose really what's important to you. But then if it's the family life and you still want to work, there's other types of job for you. Maybe an entrepreneur type of job is not the one. Or maybe it is the one, but later in your life. So, again, as you go through life, you change and you have to adapt. So... It's not a very straightforward type of subject, the work-life balance. It's very personal type of thing because everyone has a different definition also of work-life balance. Maybe my work-life balance is very different to someone else. So I think what's important is to be happy in whatever you do at every point of your life if you can.
And also, like, over the span of a career, you said you've worked in different places in many different countries. How did you notice, like, did the role of women change in, like, say, the telecom business or the entrepreneurship area? Has it changed or evolved over the years?
I think it's changed very slowly, in telecom anyway. And in engineering, maybe it's, and again, I can talk about Canada. I think there's a lot more women now than there used to be when I started. But in telecom, it's still a long way away from being balanced. And I think it's a subject that is more and more in the, becoming a hot topic because men are realizing that women can bring a lot of value to the table. And it's a subject that is close to my heart. I'm starting to get involved more and more with women in telecom and trying to form groups to get together and help each other. We're not very good as women sometimes at helping each other. We're too busy trying to deal with our own lives, but sometimes it's good to take a step back and say, okay, how can we help each other as women in the industry? So yes, there is still a lot to do. Sometimes I look at websites of companies, obviously technology companies, and when you look at the management team, they're all men. And maybe it's a woman in an HR job, a marketing job, a legal job. But very rarely do you see a woman in a VP of network, VP of innovation, or CTO. Very rarely. So obviously there's still a lot of ground to cover. And when I often talk to the different CEOs. Obviously they're all men, almost all men. And I say, why don't you have more women? And when they talk truly to me, one-to-one, and no one else is listening, they say they're still uncomfortable in dealing with women in a business environment because they don't really know how to act or how to. When they're with men, it's a known quantity. They know what to say, what they can and cannot say. With women, they're still not sure how they need to treat women, and in a business environment, in the boardroom, they think it creates some people are maybe uncomfortable. But I think the other side of the coin is for us to take our place. For us to push the boundaries and say, I want to be in a leading position and prove that we can do it. And never take no as an answer, and then I guess we also have some work to do in there because often women the first reaction is, I'm not sure if I can do that. I don't know if I have the capabilities. The men, they never say that. They say, yes, I can do that, even probably they can't. But we're different, so we have to change that a little bit and be more bold and more sure of ourselves that we can actually be as good as men. But once we do that, I think we will rule the world.
I think that's really true. So, you have a very successful and strong career in STEM. What advice would you give young girls who are trying to, or maybe unsure, like you said, oh, I'm not capable of this, I won't be able to do this later. What advice would you give them to pursue it later? How can they be sure of what they want to do, and how science would help them?
You can never be sure in life of anything. So sometimes you have to take what I call the leap of faith and give something a go. So you have to try it. If it might not be for you, it's not for everyone, because you have to really like studying. You have to like your mind to be challenged at all time. But if you're ready to work hard, to push the limits, push your boundaries, you'll really learn who you are as a person, and you really, become confident and enjoy who you are as a person. And if you succeed in engineering or in technology or in science type of study, I think you will be able to achieve anything because it forms your mind, it forms the way you think, it forms the way you analyze problems, and it's a very big strength in business at the moment. So work hard, be sure of yourself, try it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't matter, try something else. But I think also you have to, and that's maybe a recommendation I give to women in general, is be positive. I think positive energy is everything. Once you're positive, you attract positive people, and that's what you want to in your life. Be surrounded by people that are like-minded to you, that want to achieve things, not negative people. They will never bring you anything. So the positivity, I believe in that very, very much. I'm trying, when I do business, I try to be always happy. Well, you can't always be happy, but positive. And when my meeting ends with my customers or my partners, is everyone smiling, laughing? It's, I think I've at least achieved that. So I think that the next thing is to always have fun if you can. Enjoy life to the fullest. Even if you're working hard, you can work hard and play hard. And never take yourself too seriously, because that's not a very good mix. So if you don't take yourself too seriously, people will obviously see you as someone that is down to earth. So you have to keep being yourself. Be yourself is very important. And people would take you as you are, and you'll be successful by definition.
So, do you have any advice for me in particular on my Energise campaign as to what I can do to achieve my aim of motivating girls to pursue this later in university?
I think one idea I had, I don't know if it's possible for you to do, but would be to enable girls to be in this environment, or with someone that works in technology or engineering or science. There's all sorts of science subjects, for one day or a few days to actually see what it's like to see the real world, because when you're young, you can't know what the real world is like, unless once you've done it, you don't know. So maybe there would be an idea to get them in the real world for a day or two with women that are achieving these things or work. That could be maybe giving them, maybe tell them that maybe it's not for them, or it is for them. At least it helps them maybe see. I think that would have been useful for me when I was around your age, to spend time with women in their work environment. So in my case, sometimes I have meetings, I go to conferences, I speak. So it would be good for someone to follow me maybe and go into meeting and see as well how I interact with men. How do I go about it? Because obviously that's something I do well. So maybe to see how I go about it and what works for a woman like myself, if that's what they want to do further down the line. So maybe that's an idea. And I'm sure people would be more than happy to enable that. Women like myself, I would be more than happy to do that. It would be quite good fun. So
I think that's a wonderful idea, because except the mentor-mentee program that gets girls in contact with the women personally, I was also hoping to hold a seminar in my school where I would have a panel of successful women like yourself, a few of them who would answer the girls' questions. So not girls only from my school, but girls from other different schools, the inner city schools, and sort of like a panel discussion on, and there can be various topics being discussed and they can voice their concerns. But I think the strand you added is very interesting, even for me, because whenever I go for work experience, I see lots of other students who come for work experience as well. And I think it would be a good opportunity to get them shadow what type of career they might want to go or pursue.
Yes, because I think work experience is one thing. They make you do stuff, but what you want to see is what else you could do further down the line, not what they think you can do now, but what people like myself deal with day to day. So follow someone's day. I think that would be good fun. I would like to follow a few people's day myself. That would be fun. But to get the real life story, behind. Obviously, you'll never get the real, but it will give you some taste of it. I think that would be interesting.
A realistic aspect to the job, or the ideal job that there is. I think that would be really interesting. If I can sort of coordinate that, that would be really good.
I don't think that would be too difficult. Obviously, if you have too many girls, that's difficult to manage. But a small number of girls, and you can do that every quarter, or so many. In the first quarter of the year, and then the second quarter, other girls. That I don't think that would be too difficult to convince people or women like myself to do that. And it would be quite good fun. And also, there's what you have to say to us. We're getting old, and we live with other older people often. But we gain a lot from learning from young people as well. And I know in the telecom business is definitely the case. We have to listen to what you have to say as well. So it's also, a give and take on both sides. It could be beneficial to the women like myself to spend time with you girls and see your reality and what you think about the world. It's also good in that way.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting, because I did a similar sort of thing. It's similar even in banking and in stuff to do with that. When I was in summer, I was looking at the capital management team in banking, because economics and science is something I'm really passionate about. Like you said, you couldn't choose between engineering and business. It's something that I want to pursue together in university, and I think I did that over summer, and it was for a week, but I was following several people around, looking at the work they do and the sort of things that they do, speaking to them about what different teams in the bank do. So it was a good opportunity, because in the end I was able to give them my perspective on what they could improve, and sort of and like a perspective of a younger student, and they really valued it, which is what is really interesting. So
I think there's a lot to be gained there. I know in telecom is something that we keep in mind, that the young generation has such an impact on the telecom environment. So for us, it's a very important segment. So yes, and it's the future. You will decide what the future looks like in telecom in some way. So we listen to young people more and more.
So I think what you brought up was really valuable, because it gives another strand, another layer that can sort of make them sure, or not sure like you said, but close to that leap of faith, maybe, So it'll prepare them better for when they pursue or want to pursue science later on. So I think that's a very valuable advice.
But it's hard around your age to know what you want to be in life.
Yeah,
sometimes I wonder I still wonder what I want to be in life. Sometimes you have to re-question yourself throughout your life. You may change. Initially that's what you start with, and then you like it, but maybe 5 years down the line you find you like something better, or you find something else. So you can't expect to spend your whole life doing the same thing. So you start with something, you build on that. But I mean, science is the best base from my point of view. Is the best basis, because now life is all about science. It's all about technology. Even if you're in business, as you said, banking, it's everything around you is about technology. So if you understand the basis of technology, then you're well ahead of many people. And when I remember when I was in my engineering school and learning about physics, the basic rules of physics, and I thought, everyone needs to know this thing. It's so important because it's everything that's around us. So if you understand the world around you, it gives you a lot of knowledge that you can use in the rest of your life. But I know it's not for everyone, because it's not everyone's mind. Some people are more artistic, so that doesn't fit for them. So there is a limit to how many people can study science.
But I think that is some great advice overall. Thank you so much for taking
it's my
the time
pleasure.
out. It
so
was really nice getting to know you and your path to where you are today. It's another experience that I've sort of lived with you over the past.
But I mean, you're talking to the right person if you want to be encouraged to go in science, because it was the best decision I've ever made. It was definitely the right thing to do for me, but obviously not everyone is the same. But I'm definitely a big advocate for women in science, and I can tell you that the girls in my class were very strong. So we obviously sometimes they say men are stronger in science than women. I can tell you in my class it wasn't the case. So obviously men were also very bright, but it's not always the case. So you have to believe that that's not really true.
I think that's something that's increasing day by day, and even what we see around us it's changing slowly. Because I've been in India, I've been here. Girls, I think, undermine themselves a bit. They think I won't be able to do it. I won't be able to cope with it. But I think they need to be confident, and they need to take it head on instead of just taking the back seat.
And you can't be afraid to fail, because in life there's a lot of failure. It's part of life, and as long as you learn from your failure or your mistakes, that's what counts. Otherwise, it's a wasted mistake or a wasted failure. So you have to keep trying things, and then some will work, some won't work, and that's part of life. So it's not always easy, but you have to keep going. So it's definitely important in that way. There was something else I wanted to tell you, but I forgot. Maybe I'll come back. Anyway, I told you already a lot of things.
Yes, thank you so much for all your time.
It's my pleasure.
It was wonderful.
So let me know if you need anything else from me. I'll be happy to help. And you mentioned the girls that were looking for a mentor. So I can contact them. It's just I'm traveling all over the place. I'm not here very often. So it depends what they expect from me. I'm more than happy to help if I can.
Because I will go and see the girls later on in the year, because I will meet them in sort of July. So if they need, because this is a program I would like to establish, and if they need any mentorship or any guidance, I was just going to ask you if it was okay that you would go, if you
were. I mean, as long as I can give them enough, that's the only thing. I don't want to commit to something and I can't deliver, because they'll be disappointed and I'll be disappointed. So as long as the time that they expect or what they expect from me, I can commit to, I'm quite happy. I'm more than happy, because I'm getting involved in the, as I said, in the woman thing more and more. I've interviewed women, and I'm going to try to create a group of telecom leading women as well for us to meet on a regular basis. So it's definitely a subject that is getting closer and closer to my heart.
Because the interaction will mainly be virtually, so if you can spare some time maybe to just talk to them via email or Skype, that would be that's all. I think they would want from you.
That would be cool. So you have my details, so just give them my details and let them contact me, and then we can continue.
Yeah, thank you so much.
it's
Have a
okay.
nice
Send my
day.
regards to your father. Is he
Thank
back from
you.
Chicago?
Yeah, he's back. He's
Okay, I
here.
saw him in Chicago. I like him a lot. He's a nice guy.
Oh, thank you so
Send him
much.
my regards.
Yes, thank you.
Okay,
Have a
thank
wonderful
you,
day.
And don't be shy to write to me if you need anything.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.